Welcome back. We've reached the last week of our adventure into exploring plant senses. We've learned about the colors that plants see. We've discovered that plants have preferences when it comes to aromas, and that they may even use volatile chemicals to communicate. We've seen the Venus flytrap respond to a fly walking on its leaves, and learned about the remarkable conservation at the cellular level between plant and animals in response to touch. We've seen plants that keep their balance and those that get dizzy in space. And we've even delved into the inner sanctum of plant senses, looking for plant memories. As I said at the end of the last lecture, plants clearly have the ability to store and recall biological information. Intuitively, this is quite different from the detailed and emotion-filled memories we recall every day. But at the basic level, the behaviors of different plants are remedial types of memory. Whether it's the tendril coiling, the Venus flytrap closing, or the Arabidopsis remembering environmental stress, all include the process of forming the memory of the event, retaining the memory for distinct time periods, and recalling the memory at a later time point in order to get a specific developmental response. Professor Endel Tulving is an Estonian and Canadian experimental psychologist and cognitive neuroscientist whose research on human memory has influenced generations of psychologists, neuroscientists, and clinicians. Tulving proposed that human memory exists on 3 levels. The lowest level, which he terms procedural memory, refers to nonverbal remembering of how to do things and is dependent on the ability to sense external stimulation. For example, it's like remembering how to swim when you jump into a swimming pool. On the second level is semantic memory, the memory of concepts. This is the memory of most of the subjects we learned in school. And on the third level is episodic memory, which refers to remembering autobiographical events, like funny costumes from childhood Halloween parties, or the loss we felt at the death of a relative or of a pet. Episodic memory is dependent on self-awareness of the individual. Now, plants clearly do not make the cut for semantic or episodic memories. These are the memories that I think define us as human beings. But plants are capable of sensing and reacting to external stimulation. So by Tulving's definition, plants should be capable of procedural memory. And indeed, Jaffe's peat plants illustrated this. If we remember, as we learned in the class on a plant's response in memory, when Jaffe touched his tendrils in the dark, waited 30 minutes, and then put them in the light, they twined. In other words, there was a forming of the memory of the stimulus, a retaining of the memory, and a recalling of the memory for future use. So plant memories, much like the human immune memory, are not semantic or episodic, but rather procedural memories, memories of how to do things. These memories are dependent on the ability to sense external stimulation. Tulving further proposed that the 3 levels of memory are each associated with an increasing level of consciousness. Procedural memory is associated with anoetic consciousness. Semantic memory is associated with noetic consciousness. And episodic memory is associated with autonoetic consciousness. Again, plants clearly do not fit the definition of consciousness associated with semantic or episodic memories. But as stated in a recent opinion article, the lowest level of consciousness characteristic for procedural memory, anoetic consciousness, refers to the ability of an organism to sense and to react to external and internal stimulation, which all plants and simple animals are capable of. So if plants have a remedial form of consciousness, this leads us to, I think, the most intriguing question of all. If plants exhibit different types of memory and have a form of consciousness, should they be considered intelligent?